Welcome back. My name is Afonso Seco, and I'm going to be presenting Sports in Cascais, Access case. We will look further into detail to understand how the city of Cascais and its organizations have propelled the continuous growth of numerous success cases of clubs across the municipality. I'm joined by no other than Cristina Branco, head of division, sports division at Câmara Municipal de Cascais, and Deolinda Sousa, president of Clube Futebol de Sassoeiros, one of the most successful cases in Cascais. And starting here, Deolinda, I want to ask you, when you first arrived as president of Sassoeiros at 2013, you have found the club in a very precarious situation, both financially and within the community, due to the relocation of your structure. So I wanted to ask you, how was this turnaround story went? 8 years after this, and Sassoeiros is a very well known club, stable, and with a great relation with its community. How have you turned this around? And thank you for...
Thank you, Gonçalo. First of all, thank you for the invitation. We are very proud to be here and to share our story, because I think that is on the sharing that we can learn with each other, to understand how we can turn around sometimes difficult situations. What you said is true. When I assumed the presidency of Clube de Futebol de Sassoeiros, one night I realized that we had 16 euros in our bank account. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Because I can't manage my house with 16 euros. What am I going to do with this huge house and with people depending on it, because there were people that were working there. And of course, the athletes and the coaches, all of them, not entirely financial, but at least in a career perspective, they depended on the existence of the club. And so the first thing we tried to do is we tried to understand how much were the expenses that we had and how much were the revenues that we could get in the year. And easily we saw that there was not a good balance, because we were expending more than we were receiving. So what we try to do is normally what we do in management, that is to cut some of the expenses and of course try to increase the revenues. The cut in the expenses was very tough, because we were changing mentalities, mindsets, ways of working, and even though people sometimes were not receiving what they were promised to, of course they were expecting it, and the commitment was there. But what I tried to say with my management team was that I can't go with this, because I won't be fair with you. I'm just telling you that you will be paid in the paper, and we won't do that. So if you want to stay, okay, but we can't pay this. So we renegotiate, yes, sorry, the amount. And then we try to see and stay with the people that were there to build the project with us. The other thing that we had to do is on the sports part that the club had, to increase some of the fees that were paid monthly. Some of them we could not be providing a good service, because the parents were not paying anything and they were not happy with the service we were giving them, but also no one was asking them to pay anything. So we had to reach a balance to get a higher service, but of course to reach a higher fee also. And the third thing we tried to do was to diversify. We were very, very highly dependent on the sports fee. So if we had a decrease in athletes in a month, or because they went away to another club, or because they don't want to play sports anymore, we were very, very dependent on the revenue that was coming from sports. And what we tried to do is to diversify. And one of the first things we tried to do was to implement the sports vacation in the summer, that were not addressed only to our athletes, but to the community. to all the children in the community that would go there in the summer and that would play there with the sports that we had, so we could do some advertising of what we had, the services, and we had an income in the summer that were the worst months of the year because no income was coming, and the infrastructure has some fixed costs, so it is very difficult. I can get back to that later, but we always counted with Cristina, in this case, with a volunteer program to help us because we could not increase costs. So the objective was to get some revenue. So we tried to seek for programs in the city to get volunteers that we could use to be as monitors.
Taking your cue on that, and now turning to Cristina. Cristina, you have been at Câmara Municipal Cascais for almost 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. And,
yes.
And you were able to, and from organizational point of view, see this transformation and recovery from Clube Futebol Sassoeiros. What was your view on that, and how do you saw, like, what did you see before and what do you see now, and what's your take on how this recovery went? Because, and I'm not only speaking in financial terms, but also from the point of view of Câmara Municipal of Cascais. Of course, the financial is also very important, but more on the community side and on its impact in the community.
Thank you, Afonso. I would like to start by thank you this opportunity. It's always wonderful to be in this house. That it's a great proud to all of us in Cascais, and also it's very good to be with Deolinda. That it's a daily partner and it's very easy to speak. Yes, I've been working in Cascais City Hall for 20 years. And the first time that I met Sassoeiros was in the other area. So I work in different areas in the municipality, and one of them was working, managing a program of volunteers from the city sports. So we had like a program for the workers that could give some of their time during the labor time in projects that would be plus to the community. And so one of the projects was from Clube Futebol Sassoeiros that was asking for volunteers to help them to organize all the trophies and awards. And so that's when I met Deolinda in another context. And I think that was almost in the beginning of when you came, right, Deolinda? Yes. All of my life I was connected to sports. My father, my life is sports, and so entering a club gives us almost immediately how it is. And what I felt that day, I can remember like it was yesterday. It was like a very open club to the community, a real need of help, and being able to say that we need help. And so that cry, saying someone that says we need help, we have all of this, we don't know what to do. For me, it's the first step to be easy to work, because we all have problems and we all have obstacles that sometimes, even if we are the greatest, we need help. And that was very good. So that was the first time when we met. I met in another area, Deolinda. When I came, I'm in the division for 4 years, and so I already met Sassoeiros in coming up, not going down, but coming up. And I do believe that we were all the time, us as division, but also the mayors, vereadores, always very available to make this club even bigger, and to cry out that it's important to have clubs like Sassoeiros that work the community, that work the real sense of sports in creating good people and being open to the community. Because if you don't serve the persons that are with you, you're not doing a good service. So I hope that also as the City Hall is doing that work. And I think that financially it's something that it's improving, of course, but they are keeping always higher and higher the objectives. Doing more this, doing more that, doing more this. And so we are always trying to help them in the better way we can. Sassoeiros and also the other clubs, of course, because we have 95 active clubs. That's what I usually say a good problem, because they are too much, it's never too much, but planning what is Cascais, what is the cost of living, the cost of the lands, all of them want some new structure, all of them want, and so it's difficult to keep up.
Taking on what you said about the need for a cry out and being such an open club, and I wanted to understand, in the process of the recovery from Sassoeiros, of course, Câmara Municipal had a role to play, but I wanted to understand, Deolinda, how and where did you fit the help and the support that you could get from Câmara Municipal, and how do you structure your, I would say, business plan, but your plan of recovery for the club with the programs and the tools that Câmara had? And was Sassoeiros the one that took the first step? Was already an existing relationship that was just taking upon on? Or was actually the Câmara Municipal that saw, okay, they are in desperate need of help, we're going to help, and you try to combine both?
Well, as Cristina was saying, I have a very humbled position to ask for help when needed, no problem about it. And Câmara de Cascais has a very proactive interaction with the clubs, not only in promoting the programs that they develop inside the division, but also promoting programs that other institutions have. To give you an example, IPDJ has a lot of programs, and the City Hall does not only promote the programs that they have, they also promote the programs that the clubs can go to and ask for help. The PRID is one of them, to help recover installations, the infrastructures. So they have a lot of proactive way of working, and they always try to meet with the clubs. I'm talking about myself, but I know the experience of the other ones. So they always try to meet with the clubs to say, what is your problem? What are you struggling with? Because sometimes they just do the sharing. They put me in conversation with another club that had a problem that looks like the one that I have, and sometimes I can learn with them. So it's not only, I think that the financial help is very important. I don't want to minimize that, but it's the easiest part. So having the money would be the easiest part. Yes. I think that they go well behind it, because they try to understand the problem, the struggles, the environment and the context that the clubs are in, and they try to put ourselves in connection with others. They even promote one thing that is a union of clubs in Cascais. So this union can be even more close to the clubs, to understand their needs, to facilitate sometimes in legal matters, because, and in COVID we saw this, it's very difficult for us to understand the laws that come out, the new rules of DGS and everything. So we try to understand, can we close at 9? Can we stay open after 1 o'clock? So this is kind of a new world to all of us, that we don't do this for a full job. So I work on this on the weekends and at night, and I'm not a lawyer, so it's very difficult. So the City Hall promotes this kind of nucleus to help us. So I think that not only is easy for me, and it was, and I came to them to say, I need help in this or that, but they also said, we have this, you can get to this program, you can go to this person to get this help. All of the vereadores are very, very supportive. And for instance, we have, I can talk about it a little bit later, we now entered in a social area with another vereador, and it's the same. So it's like culture. It's in their ADN.
Tradition.
Yes, to be proactive, to help, to push, and to raise the bar. This that Cristina was saying is that they want to have clubs that can grow themselves, that can challenge themselves. even though that brings them a problem in a year or 2 years or whatever. But I think it's good because it's a living platform that is there to serve the community. So I think it's very easy to talk to.
And not only to serve, but actually to challenge us. And talking from my experience, I'm like a managing director of Nova SPA Football Club. I hope it's one of the 95 clubs that you mentioned when you said that there were 95 clubs in Cascais. And I remember...
Active. We have more than...
Active. I remember when we first entered the Football Lisbon Association, we didn't have a field to play in. And you didn't come up with this solution, but you set us up to get the solution. You said, look at the list of the clubs where you can see a field to play in. And we actually found Teach, where we play. And so I understand very much your point. And even when we actually had a couple of meetings about this event and other meetings, and they are always fun and challenging because we get to, and this happens with everyone at City Council of Cascais, Municipal Cascais. You get to a meeting, we have a business plan, and every slide that you present, you're being challenged. And that's a very important point to understand why Cascais is one of the leading municipalities in the areas of sports and youth, because he actually promotes a lot. Like the case of Sassoeiros, which is one of the leading academy clubs in Portugal. So I want now to understand, besides the help that you give to clubs, Câmara Municipal de Cascais also have some programs of their own, like Cascais Sports Weekend, Nadar a Brincar, and these are mostly programs that want to spread the awareness and the importance to practice sports, but also to professionalize and to give knowledge to those who do it. So I wanted to maybe ask you to walk us through what are the ambitions for these programs. Why do Câmara Municipal de Cascais do it, just not supporting the clubs to do it, but do it the Câmara itself? If you could, Cristina.
Before talking about the programs, I really feel it's not because I'm here and live with people that we work inside the City Hall like in real connection. So what I feel that we are responsible for all these clubs and all for the sports people, and so we feel that is our responsibility, but also our colleagues from the other areas recognize that and work in partnership with us. So if a club needs has a problem with a water, they will talk to us, but we will need our colleagues to say, okay, I'll go there fast. When we're talking about an event like Ironman, it's not just a division, it's not the division of sports that makes it. It's so many people that work hard and hard and hard and hard because we feel like we are a team. And we are a team. So the sports, it's transversal to all of the services. And also when we're talking about challenging you, like when I challenge the club, it's like the City Hall cannot be the only answer for the clubs. That's not possible and it's not good for the clubs because like now we are living a difficult situation. We are with extraordinary policy regarding COVID, and we don't have that many resources financially to support the clubs. So either they are ready to have wings and fly, or if they are completely dependent on us, that's a big problem for them. And so what I said to you is like, we have the resources, please go and try to make connections, because that's how we in sports must go on. Connecting and optimizing resources. Regarding the programs that we are talking about, inside the division we have a lot of programs, and we bet on the partnerships with the clubs, with the schools, with the federations, And so that's our way of working. When you're talking about Nadar a Brincar, it's a program that all the children from the 3rd grade will have an experience of not swimming, but at least to be able to survive if an accident happens. And for us, it's a very dear program, because it's not just giving the pools and the teachers, it's giving transport, it's managing with the schools, with the schedules, and so it may seem like a small, but it's a very big program, and it's very important for us. Nadar a Brincar, we have a lot of programs inside the schools complementing Desporto Escolar, that it's a different program than what we provide. And also we are making a big bet on giving information to the sports agents. For me and for the division and for all the executive, that's a very important way. We have to give them more tools to be independent, to make the right decisions, at least to be conscious that there are other ways of doing it. And so Sports Weekend, it's a program that tries to bring the best of parents, of athletes, of coaches, of directors and presidents. So to think of sports not just as the way of making a score, but a way of making better people for the future, better professionals, and that will enrich Cascais as we are. Keep in mind that a lot of sports started here in Cascais for some reason, and the reason is that it's beautiful. We have all the natural abilities to do it, but also we have special people. I truly believe in that.
Yourself, you were an athlete and even a coach. So,
and a mother of 3.
And a mother of 3, yeah, I understand.
And represented Portugal in. That's a part of me that's very important to wear.
And not only Portugal, but Cascais. Like you mentioned, the specialties that this municipality has that makes it a leader in terms of a leading municipality in terms of academy and athletes and sports in general. Now, Deolinda, how do you see these programs that are some of them are in partnership directly with the clubs, others are open to clubs. How is that important for a club that's like Sassoeiros, who has their own agenda, but also is integrated in a municipality that it's so active? And does that have an impact on like the athletes, the father of the athletes, the structure of the club, that is so important to have a great structure so that we are able to fly out, like Cristina said? And what are your take on this from a present club's vision?
Well, I think that this is the assurance of our survival, because as I was telling you, it's easy to give money, but money can be not so well spent. The City Hall tries to give knowledge, and the knowledge has a bigger value than the money that it costs. For instance, some of the bet that the city had was on health, to assure that every sports club had a DIA program and technicals with DIA formation, so they could give the first ads to people if something went wrong. And this is something that in your day-to-day, if the City Hall in the beginning of the year said, here you have 1,000 euros, do this for training or DIA, I don't know, in the middle of the management and the problems and the bills to pay, if the clubs would do the training of every person. So sometimes it's better to have these programs than to have, even though it costs money, it's something that raises us, because now we have, for instance, in every sports club in Cascais, a DIA program, and everyone being there, some of the person that is there has the training to save somebody. And I think that that's something that money can pay. The other things that they try, and that Cristina was saying, is that they want to have people with skills. So if we are giving an education to the children and the men of tomorrow, we have to give them good education, not only in sports, so we could have a degree, I'm a coach of football or roller skating or handball or whatever, but also in some other technical competences like psychology, nutrition, this kind of skills that we don't have the time sometime to go and take them for us. They promote them. And for instance, this Cascais Sports Weekend is one of the programs where you don't go to get a degree to be a coach in this specific area. You go to be richer, you go to be a better coach. And what the City Hall knows is that they have this almost 100 clubs with training people with the skills that they help to develop because, again, people don't have sometimes the money to invest in themselves. And the City Hall, what tries to have is resources that are capable to develop the sports. And I think this is why in Cascais, we are all kind of in the same wave. So we are not the same, the clubs are not the same, but I think that the raise the bar is the same because they want to have the skills in the clubs, even though I can be a champion and the other is not a champion, but I can train people, I can raise sports, girls and boys. And I think this kind of programs, well, I only deal with the Cascais, so, but I think this kind of programs, for me, they value more than the money that they cost. So I prefer to have this kind of programs and initiatives. So every year we raise the bar of everyone, and we are going to have, for instance, now a performance webinar, I think. It's a webinar on performance that will talk about nutrition, psychology, physiologist. This is something that we don't take the time to go there. We go to the trains, we go home, we plan the trains of next week. We don't take the time to think on this. So it's very good to have a partner that is trying to develop us in the soft skills to be good sports coaches.
It's a little bit the part of not giving money, but giving the tools. It's like raising a child a little bit. And I wanted to highlight how important that is, because not only the club gains from it, but also the people that are within the club feel that with this extra, they are building up a career not only in management, in managing teams, but also they feel empowered. They feel they are getting tools that are useful. They feel motivated to be at the club without the club having to do that much, just presenting themselves with that opportunity. And I think that's very important. And I wanted to come back to this point and highlighting the importance that the club nowadays, and especially at Cascais, have to have an impact in the community. And that's very important. And one of the things that you, Deolinda, did when you first served as president was to put together a logistic plan to have also school support for athletes and young athletes at Sassoeiros. And in my view, that's really important because nowadays fathers and parents in general work a lot, and to have that assurance that, okay, my son is going to go out of school, is going to the club where he studies, and there's someone there taking care of him, he studies, and then he's going to do something he loves. So he practices, and he has this motivation, and that's very important. And I wanted to understand you, what's your view, and both of your view, because from the organizational point of view, this is also must be a blessing, but to understand how this idea came, and was it financial, or was because more on this side of we have to be better, we have to do better for the community, for our athletes?
I think it was both. It started with the sports vacation And then what we saw is that children loved to be there. It was like a palace, a castle, a big house they had, because normally when you go to do something on the vacation is in small houses. So that was like an opportunity to be in a stadium. It was amazing for them. And what we understand also is that what you were saying, that parents were struggling in getting the sons from school, leaving them at sports, then coming back to home, doing their homework, and this was a stress factor, not only for the parents, but also for the children. And sometimes they say, my children won't go to the training today because he has a lot to study, because he was not able to do the homework. So this, getting to the part where we had to diversify the revenue, to not to be only dependent on the sports fees, what we saw was, what if, and we had the facilities for it, because they were with no one until 4 o'clock of the afternoon, we saw, what if we do this kind of support for the parents? So we started with the athletes, like, if you want, we can go to the school, we pick up your children, they come, they study, they grab something to eat, they go downstairs, they do the training, they take a bath, they come up, so when you come to get your child, he's ready, he's all yours, like all yours to see TV with you, to get a conversation. You don't have to worry about school. And the other thing that we did, and it works very good in sports and in education, was to get a combination of these two worlds. So we have a psychologist that works not only with the sports director, but also with the teachers to see, for instance, if the children is getting down on the grades. And if it is, sometimes the coach can get easier to the children than the teachers can. And sometimes they say, I have a problem in home because my parents are getting a divorce, or my sister got married, she get out of home, or I fought with my girlfriend, or whatever. But sometimes it's easier to understand the consequences of that on school and then linking it to the sports activity. And we try to do it, and it works very, very well, because children, they see that we are looking at them, and the coach, and sometimes they were surprised, like, how do you know I had an F on school? And the coach was like, I know everything, so you have to raise your grades. And they were like, oh my God, so I have to raise my grades, because they were, maybe you will not call me to play because I had a bad note at school. And this gets them in a very cozy environment. So this started in the beginning with the sports vacation first in 2010, and then after with the academia, the studio that we have. It's working very well. We have now not only athletes, but also students that are not still athletes, but sometimes they say, okay, I want to play also, because they are on there studying, they see their colleagues going down, they see how happy they are, and they say, I want it too. So I'm here, I want it too. It's very good, because it's a common world that is working very well, and now that we have the infrastructure, we have done that.
And you actually mentioned one point, and that I think it highlights how key the initiatives from the Câmara Municipal de Cascais are in giving the tools to coaches to be more than just coaches, but have that pedagogical, educational side that is so important, especially at a young age. Cristina, how does the Câmara Municipal de Cascais sees these initiatives, of course, with good eyes, but do you ever try to intervene and try to help, or it's more of, okay, we are supportive, but we let you do your own? How does in the organizational terms, does the city hall see this?
We could be here for 2 hours speaking. I would just like to make a remark that fortunately we have clubs like Sassoeiros that have the infrastructure and have person working there. But most of the clubs are clubs that open at 6 or 7, that's someone that works all day and comes, opens the door, or maybe the person who works in the bar. And also those clubs are doing this social work in a different way, but in a very important way. And so the clubs are for a lot of kids, especially from poor areas, from Cascais. It's like their shields, where they go when they feel safe, and also the parents feel that. And the sports have this wonderful capability of forming people for life, and to be in difficult parts of the life of teenagers especially, to be someone that grabs them and knows them. Because imagine, when you are in school, you enter a class, you cannot speak to anyone, you are there 50 minutes, you go away, they have 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, speak. When you are in a training, in a football training, your coach, I'm talking about football, your coach will be with you 2 hours maybe. You will see you in your worst position when you're losing. He will know how you are when you are winning. He will know if you are okay, if you are not okay. And so I think that this role, the presidents and the directors that leave clubs, they also know who are their kids and how they are and who is the parents. And so this is a very important social instrument that we know we have, and we use it. And we support that. We have like a special program to support clubs. And yes, sometimes they ask us for pencils and pens and cameras to support social programs with kids, to give them educational support, or to give them like academies. I remember one club in Carcavelos, like Aquacarca, that has like academy that brings also kids and gives them psychological support if they need, and also improve them to improve their performance, but also working them as individuals. And we see that as a huge potential, all of our clubs, and we try to make it bigger. Some of them, in a scale, others in other. And that's also a problem that I would like to mention. My view, and I'm talking about my view, is that all the clubs feel, all of them, that has to be the best in everything. And for me, the way I see sports is all of them are important. The one that wants to be champion of the first league, or the one that just wants to have 10 kids playing football and bringing them up and being better persons. But they have to understand that. And sometimes the problem is that all of them feel that, oh no, you're giving more that to that club, We are giving different. In our view, in my personal view, what they need to improve. And sometimes they don't need maybe so special balls of football, but maybe they need some better tables and better pens and support to have a teacher to help them in school. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. And so this is the way that we feel. We try to give according to the needs, like our kids. Yes, if one is older and needs like a car, the other that has 8 years doesn't need a car, but maybe needs a doll. And that's what we try every day to do, to keep up. And I lost myself. What was the question?
I was just questioning, my question was in terms of what's the behavior of the City Hall in terms of initiatives like this study center at Sassoeiros.
Yes.
If you intervene or not, and
Usually we give support, but we do the other way also. We sometimes are asked us help, like institutions that have people with special needs, and we try to connect them with a club. Or like the social resources say, we have this kid that doesn't have any financial possibility, but he wants to be a gymnast. Could you help us? And they say, yes, we have this club. Try to talk to them. And usually the answer is always yes. So we are very proud that our clubs don't say no to any kids if the problem is money. And if that happens, we'll be there to support, but we don't feel that. That's also how the City Hall supports every inscription in every federations, in order to no one being able not to compete because there is not the father money to be in, to give that possibility. And so, yes, we try in different measures and with different approaches.
One last question before we unfortunately have to end this great panel, but I wanted to understand what is more key to being a successful club in Cascais. So we have 95 active clubs. That's a very high number in comparing to the other municipalities. But I wanted to understand, it's the community that helps getting results, or are the results that help the community be intervene more within the clubs and make these clubs successful? Because when I mean clubs being successful, I mean clubs that have a growing number of athletes of sports and that keep on doing more initiatives, not in terms of being successful competitive, but I wanted to understand, because everyone wants to play for the winner sometimes, most of the times, but again, these initiatives that are so important to the community can actually have on-field results. And I wanted to give your final opinion on this, because I believe that this is the key point to understand, not only because of the location, not only because of the people that are in the city of Cascais, but also because of this. What makes the most difference when you are talking about being a great club in the city of Cascais? And please be my guest to answer any.
For me, when I think like we have 4 Olympics going now to Tokyo, and I think it's 4. Yes, it's 4 in different sports. And they are such an honor, but also is an honor to see one kid that wins the Lisbon tournament. For me, what makes Cascais, and I just want to say a small thing. I think that during COVID, the clubs although we may think weaker, they get stronger because they realize there are other clubs. They have to work in nets. We have clubs cleaning the streets during COVID. We had clubs distributing masks for the community. We have clubs saying, we are here. We want to help. We are here. And that was very good to feel that also, because we also need help in that. And the clubs, we are here. And also supporting them. We have like a club because of I have a WhatsApp group because of masks. And it's nice to see clubs that usually will be like, oh, because of the, because of the scores. And then say, no, you need that, no problem, I can help you. No, that's not a problem, I can help you. And that's, I feel that the people are our most important resource in Cascais. And and conscious people knowing what they want, but also physical conditions where we are to promote. Also, the events are very good to send Cascais as a good place to come and play sports, not just for the people who live here, but also who visit us, and for the history. So we have I don't know how many, I would say 5 or 6 with more than 100 years. A lot of them has a big history, and it's in our DNA, like citizens from Cascais, to play sports, to be, and that makes us better people, better professionals. I would like to think also better managers. And so I think that a good policy regarding helping financially, but also with improving skills. That's my opinion. The people that make the clubs, the people that make the schools, the people that are working here, and also a good network of working for me.
Well, I would dare to say that for Cascais and for the City Hall, the clubs are all the best as long as they are at their bestest, because I don't think that they expect from us the higher sports results. I think that they expect from us the maximum that we can give. I can give you an example. For Sassoeiros, We have a huge impact on community in sports because we are in a more unfavorable area, economical area of Cascais. And as Cristina says, no one is left behind. The other thing is the study. So we try that everybody can go to school and do the sports at the same time and not being left over because they are not a good student. And the other thing that we have done recently and we are promoting is a senior university. And also the City Hall supported us in doing this project, once again challenging us. And we are getting this elder population, also with sports, also with connecting with them, with each other. So what I think that, or in my perspective, my success is how much I could give to the community. Am I giving that or not? And how am I giving that? Because if I'm trying to go inside my local community, the youngest, the elder, the sports, I'm doing a good job. And then they look at how am I doing, and that comes the skill. So, of course, the prizes are important, and if I get a trophy is important, but I think that they want the clubs to work to their potential. And my potential is not the same potential of the club that is next to me. So I think that they will not want to get that from me because they know I am different from the other. So they just want us to be in our best, and they give us the tool to be in our best. So it's difficult because, as you said, we don't work there. So I have my job and then I do that. But it's very easier when you want to speak with the City Hall persons, and you can do it at 9 o'clock in the night. We have a meeting today at 9 o'clock in the night, and we are talking about persons that work in there. So they are doing after hours so they can match our needs. And I think that this helps me to be at my best. Even though a trophy come or not come, they want me to look at my community and see what can I do more for the community, because I think this is the spread out that the City Hall wants, to have the clubs near the community. In COVID, for instance, we had a medicine that would prescribe the medicines for persons because they could not talk to the doctors. So I talked to the City Hall and said, I'm going to do this service, and I implemented, they shared, and this is helping. This is, for instance, sharing this with other clubs. Sometimes other clubs also have doctors there that could do the same. So this is, can you do this? Yes, so do it. I can't because I don't have the resource. It's okay. What can you do? I think this is what they do the best, and what they expect from clubs is for us to be at our best. So we also try to work every day to meet their expectations.
Matching needs and matching advantages. Thank you very much to you both, Cristina and Deolinda. It was a pleasure to have you here at Sports Talks. And this was Sports in Cascais, a success case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.